Deadly violence in South Sudan has spread outside the capital as fears of ethnic conflict grows in Africa's newest nation. An army spokesman says the town of Bor has been taken over by rebels amid heavy shelling. The fighting has been spreading since the weekend. The defense minister says up to 100,000 people have been displaced by the violence. Jonathan Mann has more on what's happening on the ground in South Sudan.
South Sudan's capital city still reeling from days of violence.
Samantha Power, the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, made an unannounced visit to the Central African Republic on Thursday. She said she was there to get a sense of the crisis in the country firsthand. Power says she supports the efforts of the African Union and France in protecting civilians from the internal conflict. Amnesty International says war crimes and crimes against humanity are being committed there. It says nearly 2,000 men were killed over a 2-day period this month. Amnesty says it's received evidence of executions, mutilation of bodies and forced displacement of people. It's calling for militias to be disarmed and for effective protection for civilians who are currently at risk. Now, the Central African Republic is a landlocked nation with a population of about 4.6 million people, with Bangui as its capital. There are two main groups blamed for this chaos. There's the Seleka. It's a loose alliance of warlords and mainly Muslim fighters. They have been accused of widespread killing and looting. Then there's the anti-Balaka or anti-machete Christian militias who say they've taken up arms to defend themselves. Religious conflict hadn't been an issue in the country before now. Christians make up 50% of the population. About 15% are Muslim. The country is rich in diamonds, gold and uranium, but its people are among the poorest in the world. They've endured decades of conflict and instability since the country became independent from France in 1960. Former NBA basketball star Dennis Rodman has touched down in North Korea. The controversial player has been there before, and he calls North Korean leader Kim Jong-un his friend. He says he wants to improve relations by practicing basketball diplomacy. Senior international correspondent Ivan Watson joins us now live from CNN Beijing with more on that. Ivan?
That's right, Monita. This is the third time that Dennis Rodman,
Ivan, thank you. Ivan Watson there live for us from Beijing. You are watching CNN News Center live from Hong Kong with You are watching CNN News Center live from Hong Kong. The Winter Olympics are just 50 days away, folks. And as the Russian coastal city of Sochi prepares to host athletes and spectators from around the world, there's a lot of speculation about whether these games can come off without a hitch. Well, for months now, Sochi has been feverishly preparing for the 22nd Winter Games and the global spotlight. Most of the Olympic venues are completed, but the stadium that will host the much anticipated opening and closing ceremonies, well, that isn't quite finished yet. CNN's Amanda Davis is in Sochi and reports that at least the weather is not a concern for now.
Snow has arrived in Sochi, much to the organisers' relief. It is.
And as Amanda was just reporting, the Sochi 2014 organisers say they are confident all the venues will be ready in time. Compared to some parts of Russia, Sochi is far more tolerant. CNN's Phil Black has been visiting a city that's been a haven for gays and lesbians for years. We're watching CNN News Center live from Hong Kong. An influx of major changes to how we use mobile phones on a plane. Could we soon be able to use them to make in-flight calls? We'll have details on that next. Welcome back. You are watching CNN News Center live from Hong Kong, where we're definitely feeling a bit of the winter chill here in this part of the world. Mari Ramos is at the World Weather Center with more on our forecast. Mari?
Very chilly indeed. You know, those warnings for cold weather continue even into parts of Hong Kong, but you'll still need a jacket.
Don't mind it at all, Mari. Thank you very much for that. Well, there'll be a lot of holiday travelers who will be getting ready to fly this time of year, and they're going to be happy about this. British Airways is relaxing its restrictions on the use of electronic devices. As of today, British Airways says it's the first European airline to make this change. This change isn't for in-flight text or phone calls, however. In the United States, the Federal Communications Commission has said it would consider lifting its longtime ban on phone calls during passenger flights. Now, U.S. airlines, Delta and JetBlue don't like the idea of in-flight mobile phone calls, and they're saying, put that phone down. Chris Lawrence is following the story for us, and he joins us now live from Reagan National Airport in Washington. It's a busy time of year, Chris, for a lot of travelers, and still they're not going to be able to make any phone calls.
Not right now, Monita. You're going to have to keep these still turned off for right now.
Thank you so much for that, Chris Lawrence, reporting to us there. Before we go, we want to leave you with a feel-good story. A New York service dog is being hailed a hero after trying to keep his blind owner from falling onto the subway tracks. Michaela Ferreira explains how.
It was smack in the middle of rush hour at this Harlem subway station when...
Well, this media star is due to retire next month, but thanks to anonymous donations, he'll now be able to stay with his master. Stay with us here on CNN. I'll update you the news headlines in just a few minutes.